Hey everybody, Kayla here. Today we have a really special episode for you. We are going to pull a clip for you from our recent immersion experience called Miracle Week. This was a paid offer that even after day one, we were getting feedback that people were having breakthroughs, their mind was being blown, they were having big ahas. And so I wanted to grab a snip of what we shared and bring it to you in this podcast. P.S. Welcome to Live Your Yes Life. This is a podcast where Lisa and I share channeled thoughts, discussions, and interview amazing people to support you, our listener, in going from dreaming and wishing about your best life, or as we like to say, your yes life, and instead support you to take action to bring this yes life to reality. So, as I mentioned, we recently led an immersion experience called Miracle Week. And my friends, Miracle Week just blew the roof off. It was amazing, okay? So, here we are after day one, and already people are having some pretty big awarenesses. The snip that we're going to share with you today is 3 ways that you are blocking miracles. Now, I do need to tee you up a little bit to share with you the definition that we used for miracles so that all of what we talk about makes sense to you as we go. So, at the beginning of Miracle Week, we talked about how a miracle, according to Lisa and I, is not when some kind of incredible result occurs. And while we love incredible results occurring and we get to experience them in our lives and support our clients in co creating them in their lives, that's actually not a miracle. In fact, incredible results follow miracles. What a miracle really is when we open ourselves up to a new possibility. It's that moment that we have a shift in perception to go from feeling like we're stuck or stalling or like however it is just how it is and there's nothing that can be done about it, to instead see that the miracle occurs the moment that we open ourselves to a new possibility, that we put on a different perspective and make room for something else to come through. And so, knowing that, you already might start imagining all the different ways that you can be blocking your abundance. And today we want to support you by giving you the 3 most common ways that we see people getting in the way of miracles, abundance, health, vitality, all of the things that we want. I trust that this episode will serve you well, and I would love for you to share which one of these 3 ways do you notice you are accidentally employing the most and are now going to be intentional in interrupting, having a pattern interrupt, shaking it up so that you are not getting in the way of miracles getting into your life. And if you want more, if you want to get all of the replays for Miracle Week, I will leave in the show notes the link so that you can go ahead and grab the replays for the whole week. Miracle Week was so powerful. Not only is it a workshop every day, but there also is an hour of group coaching after. And let me tell you, that is where some of the real work happens. So you get 10 hours of coaching when you download the replays of Miracle Week. Enjoy these 3 ways that you are blocking miracles. I'll see you in the Facebook group by the same name as this podcast, Live Your Yes Life. Thanks for being here.
So what's happened to the top 3 blocks? Thanks, Kayla. I'm going to take you through the top 3, but then Kayla's going to take you through an exercise to identify your blocks. So I'll kind of warm things up for you, get you going, and then we'll allow her to share with you so you can identify. So one of the biggest blocks to receiving miracles that we have found is holding a fear of failure or a fear of disappointment. Anyone resonate? Like you just get stopped by that fear, like the what ifs, right? It's like rather than, let's just say that you've got this vision or you've got this goal or you've got this ideal yes life that you're working towards and you're not actually taking any action towards it. You're just stopping yourself. with that fear of failure. So this can be a big block. And what I want to share about that is it's not really the fear itself that it's the block, because fear, like we're going to have fear. If all of you, and I know that all of you here have a big vision, if your vision is big enough, there's bound to be fear. There's bound to be, this possibility of stepping into the unknown, that it's not going to work out exactly like we want it to feel, but it's actually unprocessed fear. Okay? Unprocessed fear. And that unprocessed fear is what creates the resistance, and it blocks us from accessing the new possibilities, right? In my analogy of like, you're in the coffee shop and one day you turn around and you realize there were all these other options you never saw before. It's the unprocessed fear that keeps us from actually looking for the other possibilities. So, Lisa, what I mean by unprocessed fear, it's a great question. It means fear that we have been unwilling to actually feel, to actually allow it to move through us. So, what often happens is we have a fear of failure, and it's like, oh, nope, can't take action. It just stops us. It's like the fear of failure comes, it's an idea, it's an image of our mind of something bad that might happen, something that might go wrong. Our minds usually go to like, we're just going to be living in a cardboard box, right? Anybody have that? Like, lose all my money, lose my home, lose everything, live in a cardboard box on the street. That's where it's all going. Stop in my tracks, right? Yep, I see something. Yep, I resonate. And what happens is when we feel that fear and it stops us, we don't allow ourselves to actually go into the fear. But processing the fear is like, well, hello, fear. What do you got to say to me, right? It means we actually allow ourselves to be with the emotion of fear. We allow ourselves to experience it. We allow ourselves to get honest and be like, okay, what is this really all about? What is fear here to, what does it want to protect me from? Ooh, it wants to protect me from losing all my money. Okay, great. I see that. What do I need to do about that? What steps do I need to take? Can I be with all possibilities, right? So something that Kayla and I work with our clients on is being open to all possibilities. It's like we've got to be willing to hold that there is a fear of failure, not to pretend it doesn't exist, right? We've got to actually be willing. Like, okay, you know what? I might try this, take this step and it might fail, but also it's probably not going to send me into a cardboard box. I'm probably just going to like receive the learning and then go again. Lisa's saying I have actual fear of facing the fear of what happens if I actually face it. Yes, absolutely. And that is what creates this resistance or this block from going forward. And thank you for being honest about that, because a lot of us have that fear, right? So, what we want to do is start to become willing to get honest about our emotions. Like, oh, I feel fear. And here's the thing, just by naming it, it reminds us that we are not the emotion, right? I am not the fear itself. I'm just having an experience of fear. Okay, great. Let me name it. I feel fear. I feel fear. I feel fear in my body. Okay. And so I invite you to practice this simple reframe, okay? Which now I want you to think about, what is a reframe? It's a perspective shift. What is a perspective shift? It's an invitation to experience a miracle, right? So, what if you were actually willing to fail? Okay, I want you to think about maybe some of the failures that you think about that are in front of you. Like, okay, this could happen. I could lose my money. I could be embarrassed. My friends could see that I launched this thing and it didn't happen. Like, whatever it is, right? When you think about that, could you actually be willing for all possibilities to occur? It's kind of like, okay, what would I do if that happened? What would I do if I launched and no one bought? Well, I would probably get some support. I would probably look at where my mistakes went. I would probably learn a lot through that process. And then I would do it again. And the next time I would probably create success. I wouldn't give up. I would be resilient. I would dig deep. I always keep going, right? Do you see the other possibilities that are now occurring as I'm willing to be with fear or willing to be with failure? So I want you to consider that anytime you can reframe this fear, you create a miracle by accessing a new perspective. We don't want you to focus on the fear. We don't want you to vision on the fear, right? We're just going to say, like, okay, it's here. And now I reframe. What else is possible? This might be the step I need to take in order to get to the massive amount of success I want. So that's one way. The second way is, or the second block to receiving miracles is a belief that miracles are random. Okay. A belief that miracles are random. Like, oh, they just happen to lucky people. They just fall out of the sky. God only grants miracles to certain people. I'm not, I'm just not one of those people that gets miracles. And so I want you to notice that all the things we've been talking about already today are how actually miracles are co-created. It's like you and the universe, you and source, you and God. And incidentally, Kayla and I will use those words interchangeably in our community. For those of you who are new, we welcome all faiths, all beliefs. Whatever your belief is welcome here. So you'll notice that we'll interchange words. You substitute it for the word that feels best for you. So, you know, we have to remember that actually what sets a miracle into motion is our willingness to co-create with the universe. It's our willingness to shift our perspective. It's our willingness to take a step. It's our willingness to believe that it's possible for us. That's the moment where everything shifts. Okay. And so here's the thing. Once we realize that, like, okay, I actually have a responsibility here. Maybe responsibility number one is I've just got to shift my belief. That's my signal to God, source, the universe, that I'm willing. I'm going to just say, what if? What if this is possible for me? And what I want you to get throughout this whole entire week is that it's great to vision. If you didn't do your pre-work yet, please go and do it because I gave you a powerful visioning exercise and an invitation to really keep working with it. Now, once you set that vision or that goal in motion, you have to be different. Okay? You have to actually be different from this moment forward. We don't do the vision work. We don't set the goal and then just go right back to our same old beliefs, same old, do the same thing I did every day, have the same conversations, do the same old, same old. You have to actually be different from this moment forward. So we're going to take you through a powerful process throughout this week. And I want you to let it change you. Let this week change you. Speak differently, think differently, take a different action, right? Allow yourself to align with this miracle to occur. And this is the sweet sauce. We're going to get way more into this, but I want to set the stage. And then block number 3, and this is a big one, is when we get attached to our old stories of unworthiness. Okay, we get attached to old stories and unworthiness. And what I mean by that is we get attached to self doubt. We get attached to whatever stories and patterns we're holding from our past, that it's the way it's always been, or it happens for everybody else, but it doesn't happen for me. We get attached to past failures. That can be one of the biggest blocks to experiencing miracles. And so we have to get honest with ourselves, right? This is again another perspective shift, is like, is this really what I believe, or is this just an old version of me that needs to be heard? Is this just an old version of me that's coming to the surface because I've got a hardwired thought pattern here? So, what we get to do and what we will do is gently unattach ourselves. It's kind of like we're just going to cut the cord to that old story of unworthiness and realize that that old self doubt is one of those invisible blocks to experiencing miracles that we have not even realized was possible. I love to use affirmations when I want to start to shift into a new thought. Again, we'll talk more about this later. But I think that as long as they are allowing us to help rewire a new thought, they are really a powerful tool to have. And so, one of a very simple one you can use right now, or you can make up your own, even just something like, I'm worthy of experiencing miracles now, right? This is a great one. Like, I'm worthy of experiencing miracles right now. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to say it to myself 5 times a day. I'm worthy of a miracle now. And allow those words to shift something in you. Our words are spells. Our words are so important, right? What we speak is what we create. Lisa, I just want to speak into this really quick before I toss it off to Kayla. What about current life circumstances that keep playing out the same way? So even if I have cut some of the old doubts, but the life circumstances become the obstacles, how do you detach? This is my biggest struggle. Great, Lisa. So thank you for sharing that. So it's the detaching from the like giving power to the circumstances. Okay. And I know that this is like a more of a complex story, but what we get to do is realize that our circumstances don't determine whether or not we experience miracles in our lives. We do. And so the circumstances don't have to shift. If they keep playing out and they keep doing what the circumstances are going to do, so be it. But you get to shift on the inside. You get to change the way you think and the way you speak and the way you be, regardless of the outer circumstances. And that's what generates the miracle to occur. So we'll I know you're in coaching, so you get to keep going with more of this, but the power is always in you and we take it back out of the circumstance. Um Nikki's saying, I can reframe my fear of control into I am able to receive. Yes, absolutely. Gail, oh my gosh, that was huge for me. Yes. Being subconsciously attached to past failures. Yep, we do. So I love that you guys are already experiencing some ahas with this. I wanted to get your minds thinking. I wanted to cue us up for some deep work we're going to do in this next week. And
Okay, so let's do a little bit of work on this yourself. And we're opening up the door right now. As you go through the rest of the day, here's how I want you to think about this. Imagine that right now you're walking through the door into a new room, and all day for the next 24 hours, you're going to be living your life in this new room. So you're going to go on, you're going to go to work, and you're going to be with your family, and you're going to eat your meals, and you're going to do whatever you do, but in this new room. And tomorrow when we come back, we're going to see how has your experience been different because you've been in this new space. So I know that right now, think of you just like walking through that threshold with these three powerful questions I'm going to give you. And then let's see what happens. The real work is going to happen over the next 24 hours as you're living your life with these things being a present thought for you. Okay, so here's question number 1. Is what goal or miracle do you most desire right now? What goal or miracle do you desire most right now? Jot a note for yourself. I'm going to give you a couple minutes with this. Well, a couple moments. And I'd love for you to come off mute or type in the chat and let me know what goal or miracle do you desire most right now? And whatever it is, you don't have to edit it. You don't have to be like, well, that's not very, should it be different? Whatever it is perfect. I want to launch a new business, says Don. Amazing. We're going to coach on that today. I'm excited. Opening my school. Yes, Audrey. Body upgrade. Okay, nice. Weight loss. Moving. Great. Find something that brings me joy and supports me financially. Beautiful. Okay, the next question is what fear or belief is standing in the way of receiving that? What fear or belief is standing in the way of receiving it? Gina said to feel better. Kelly said selling my business. Finding a house on land and financially being able to afford it. I'm not worthy. It's not safe. Acceptance of the here and now. Failure. Leveling up my leadership in my business. The belief that stands in the way is that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. 10 years in, I'm imposter syndrome is extreme. Thank you, Kenzie. Failure. I can't do it alone. I'm not capable of this big dream. That's for other people. Taking away from my family and fear, losing time, judgment. Love those miracles already happening. Okay. So far, we know here's the goal or miracle that I'm desiring, and here's the block that I have. I can clearly see these two things. And many of you are probably like, I'm present to those things a lot. Like, I know what I want and I know what's in my way. Consciously or subconsciously, those things are happening for you. Now, the next question, I'm not asking how, okay? I want you to know that I know we don't know how. I know we don't know how yet, but the question is, what would it feel like to let go of that block today? I know that you might not know how it's going to happen or how you could let go of that block, but let's just imagine that you could. If you could let go of that block today, what would it feel like? Oh, I love Kenzie says so expansive. Yeah, it would feel liberating, freeing, room to explore, self-acceptance, intense relief. This, my friends, is why miracles are so important. because a miracle is the shift in perspective. It's the opening up to a new possibility. And so what we're seeing is you don't need to yet have the thing. And one day you will. One day the result will be there. But you do not need to yet have the thing in order to feel so expansive, liberating, room to explore, self-acceptance, intense relief, free and confident, relief and confidence. What we need is a shift in our perspective. We need a willingness to hold things different. The willingness for a new possibility, that's a miracle. And the reason that miracles are so important is I want you to think about what actions could you take and what results could you create when you're feeling expansive, liberated, free, room to explore, self-acceptance, intense relief, amazing, free and confident, proud like I can do anything. Think of how different the actions we can take are. This is why miracles are so important. This is why we have a whole week dedicated to miracles. Because when we can consistently get out of our own way of how we're holding something, we create that feeling in our body. Well, now we can take action. Now we can be differently, like Lisa was talking about before. And it's really helpful.